Hey everyone, welcome back to Bachelor Happy Hour. I'm Joe.
And I'm Serena.
And we are here with the one and only first ever making history Golden Bachelorette, Joan. Welcome to Bachelor Happy Hour.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. We're going to get into everything. We have a lot to discuss in not that long of time. So before we get into everything, how have you been enjoying your time leading up to the premiere?
Oh gosh, like it's kind of surreal, to be perfectly honest. I was actually watching TV this morning and I heard my voice and it was me on a commercial. So like every day is kind of a new day. Someone sent a picture of me on the side of a bus. So it's just like as it's unfolding, slowly as we get closer to the premiere, it gets more and more exciting every day.
Have you thought about the fact that you are the first ever Golden Bachelorette?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been the OG at anything in my entire life. So like I finally get to be an OG and it's like I said, it's surreal. I keep pinching myself. It could have been so many more people. I don't know how I got so lucky to land this, but I did. And I'm so grateful.
Do you think it's more or less pressure because you're the first one?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I think most of the pressure kind of landed on Gary because he was really the first one. Like he was the first golden of anything. So I feel a little less pressure because he was kind of the trailblazer and I'm just somewhat following his lead. But I guess the first Golden Bachelorette, but I don't think I feel as much pressure as he certainly did.
Did you have a chance to reach out to him just to ask him for any of his advice?
I did. I spent like 2 hours on the phone with him. We talked through lots of different scenarios. And he gave me really good advice. Like I said, he was kind of a trailblazer and I think he did it really, really well. He made all of us women on the show feel very comfortable to be kind of open and vulnerable, which is kind of scary at this age. And, you expose your family, you have a lot to lose at this age. So I think he did it really, really well and he made us feel really comfortable. So I relied on him a lot for advice and I still talk to him all the time now.
What was the best piece of advice or the one that stuck out the most that he gave you?
He said it's a really, really quick journey and don't leave anything on the table and make sure that you encourage the contestants to be the same way, that you only have one chance sometimes to reveal something about yourself that's important and don't squander that opportunity. Make sure you come clean and you talk about everything that's important that makes, kind of you who you are or brought you to this, to this place. So I did that. Like first night I said to the men, this is quick. So make sure, we get to know each other as best we can in this short amount of time.
As for our listeners who may not know, and I'm assuming most of them do, but can you just kind of give us a refresher into why you went home on Gary's season?
So right after our one and only one-on-one date, the next morning, I got a text from my daughter who had just had a baby and she was having a really hard time. She had a hard pregnancy, a hard delivery. She almost died during the delivery. I mean, certainly like a lot of emotional things were happening to her and she just needed me to come home and be a mom and help her. She was dealing with a lot. She even had some postpartum depression and she had not a super easy baby. She's a doll right now, but she was an infant. I left when the baby was 8 days old. And, I dealt with that guilt, to be honest. I knew that I shouldn't be leaving her or that this wasn't a perfect time to be leaving, but it was the only opportunity I had. And I selfishly left with the thought that if I need to come home, I will. And when she said she needs me, I left.
One of the things emotionally that I'm the most terrified of when it comes to becoming a mother is mom guilt. I feel like it's something that every mom talks about of like you have a child and you literally have mom guilt for the rest of your life.
It's true. You will have mom guilt. We drink wine. We do what we have to do to self-medicate, but you will be fine. You do have mom guilt because you love that child so much and you love that person more than you love yourself or anything that you think you could possibly love. So you'll never be perfect. And so you have mom guilt forever.
How's your daughter now and the baby? Everyone good?
They are great. The baby is a year old. She is a doll. The parents are perfect. It was such a short amount of time that she needed me, but it was such an important time, and it was what it was. But literally 2 months later, she was her old self again.
Yeah.
That's
You
amazing.
had to do what you had to do for your family. I respect it.
What are their thoughts on all of this?
So kind of mixed. I mean, they all want me to find love. They all certainly want me to have a happy life, and but it's a little scary that they're worried about me kissing on TV, and
Are they?
Oh yeah, very worried about that. The boys are like, please do not kiss anybody. So I lied and said I wouldn't, and then very worried about fantasy suites. They're like, don't even say the word. It just sounds gross.
Oh my gosh.
That's a nightmare as a child.
They're terrified of it.
Okay, when you got back from Gary's season, and you had to deal with all your family stuff, but then you were single. Did you start dating again?
My dating history wasn't super successful prior to that, which is why I even filled out the application to come on the show. I had done a little bit of I did one dating app. I had this vision that I was going to meet somebody organically. I was just going to be out one day at the grocery store, at a wedding, someplace, would meet somebody organically. And it seems that there are not a lot of people like in our situation. So there's not a lot of 60-year-olds that are single, because like we live in a world of people that are couples. Like, this world is full of couples. And even if I saw somebody that I thought was my age and that was attractive or whatever, I would just assume that they were married, and I would never try to meet them or whatever. So I find it very hard to date at this age. So I came off the show. I was a little healed by the small little section of that journey that I got to be part of. And I realized that I really did want somebody in my life, but I still didn't really know how to do it, like how to meet somebody. Mm-hmm. So, although I had this hope and this want, I didn't really know how to do it. So I didn't do it very much. I didn't make an effort. And then eventually I got presented with this opportunity. So I obviously jumped at it because, I didn't know how else to find somebody.
Yeah. Well, also, Joan, you're like insanely beautiful. So I feel like finding guys in your league is probably, look, personality is everything too, but just like, you're such a special person. You deserve someone so special. And like seeing the cast of men has made us so excited for your journey, because you're amazing. They seem amazing. And we're just excited to see how everything unfolds.
Yeah. Joan, I got a question. You say dating's hard, and I do agree, but you're never getting hit on when you go out, when you go to the grocery store. Never? You're not getting hit on?
Well, occasionally, sure. But oddly, I was hit on a lot more by people DMing me after being on The Bachelor. And I don't know how to navigate. I know that that's like a big thing, people sliding into your DMs. I know that that is a really common way that people meet each other, but like the younger guys. I don't know how to work that. How do you vet them? It's a total stranger DMing you, and most of them don't live anywhere even close to you. They're like in other states, and I don't get how all that works. Maybe you can educate me. But occasionally people, certainly at restaurants or whatever, I would see them out, but really not very often. Like I said, they probably assumed I was married, just like I assume anybody my age is married. It's an assumption. Probably the opposite than like younger people. I think about like when my youngest son goes out, he probably assumes everybody that's at the bar with him is single. I'm the opposite. I think everybody out was married.
That's very true. I never thought about that. I also think it's so interesting that you said, like, how do you vet these people? Because it's so true. It's like, this could be a total creep or like a really weird guy. Like, you want to put yourself out there, but you also want to protect yourself. And I do think that's why we see so many people date within the franchise a lot, because it is this group of like pre-vetted people.
I totally agree with you. I love it works so well. Like, there are so many success stories that come after people have left shows. They find other people on Bachelor Nation. You're so right. Like, that's the reason they've been vetted.
Yeah.
Support for this podcast comes at
a quick turnaround
At MS
manufacturer's suggested retail price
But I do feel like I do have it.
I'm assuming they asked what your type was. What
Supplies, see PayPal app. This card is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Inc.
What were you telling when they were casting for the guys, I'm assuming they asked what your type was, what you were looking for. What did you tell them?
So I didn't like really know I had a type, because I've been married for 32 years. I wasn't thinking about my type. I already had them. But I do feel like I do have a type now that I've been through this whole journey. And I kind of like guys that are like gregarious, like that feel comfortable in their own skin, have self-confidence, can walk into a room and kind of talk to anybody. And I also am really particular about kind of like my father. My father taught me this, that, men should be gentlemen. And I like a gentleman. I like somebody who, opens doors and stands up and treats like the waitress at the restaurant really well. And, so a gentleman was important to me. So I kind of like an outgoing guy that's a gentleman. And I just want somebody who's kind. It's kind of obvious things, really.
Yeah. When you were asked to be the Bachelorette, what was going on in your mind? Were you shocked?
I was, so there was a little bit of flurry around, like, there's going to be a Golden Bachelorette. And I certainly knew that I wasn't the only one being looked at, that other women from my season, clearly. And I kind of had an idea of who it might be. So that was like kind of played on a little heavy on my mind, because I really did want this. And so I was like not really thinking that I was going to get it, to be honest. I thought it could go to anybody. And maybe there were people that, people would consider more deserving from my season, since I had left so early. So when I was on the Golden Bachelor, I left so early that, people that made it farther in the journey would have been maybe a better contender or more deserving of it. So when I got the message, and so Jesse Palmer did a Zoom with me, and he's the one that told me, and I was like thrilled, but honestly, I was pretty surprised, to be totally honest.
You might be the lead with the least experience on the show as a contestant ever. Like
Matt James.
Oh, Matt James. You're right. But how did? Yeah, he was on the show at all before he became the lead. But how did that kind of play into when you were filming? Like getting to a point of being like, I haven't actually been here before.
Yeah, and that happened pretty early in the journey, to tell you the truth. I learned a ton, and you might not need much more than that to get how all this works. And the thing that I learned most was when I originally got to the house, or even like when I was considering even going on the Golden Bachelor, I was really apprehensive, because this was the first time that it had ever been done for the Golden. And I was worried about how we were going to look on TV. Like, were we going to look like foolish old people dating? And was it going to look like
tacky?
And I also had like a little bit of the guilt. Like, do we deserve to find love this late in life? Did we already have our chance and we had it? And, were we being selfish coming on the show and like leaving our families behind, who are really rely on us now? And so I had all this like apprehension going into the Bachelor series. That was all solved almost right away. I got there and I got to meet the producers, and I got to meet Bachelor Nation kind of. And I saw that they really had our best interest in mind, and that they really wanted us to find love, and that they wanted to make this journey look really fun and depict us as like what a really 16, 17-year-old looking for love looks like, and that it's not embarrassing and it's not degrading, and you shouldn't feel guilty about it. And they did all that. I learned all that in a really fast amount of time. So everything else that I learned, after Golden Bachelor, and after like kind of the first set of group dates and the first rose ceremonies, where now this was like new territory for me, I felt comfortable with, because I knew that their hearts were pure when they were, making this show.
Yeah. You said you don't know if people will think you deserve to find love at that age. Do you think that's a common thought that most people around your age have?
So my thought is that, and I've thought this for a long time, that as you get older, you're supposed to be supporting the next generation. So like the kids, my kids' age, so the 20 and 30 years old, that that now you should be in like a support role. So you should now take a back seat and, be a grandmother, maybe help them over financially, that the focus is no longer on you, it's on them. And that when you do something for yourself, I felt kind of guilty. And I know that I wasn't the only person, because we had that conversation in the mansion when I was in the Golden Bachelor with the other women, that we all shared that thought. We felt like we were selfish being there, that we had left people behind that needed us. And, at this age, you have multi-generational responsibilities. I have a mother who's still alive. She's 92. I have a mother-in-law. I have kids and I have grandkids. And a lot of people that rely on you. So I do kind of feel like I felt guilt, and that people my age do feel guilty when they do something for themselves, because we feel like we're supposed to be in the support role now.
So then what did it feel like going and filming The Golden Bachelor, where it's just like, it's your journey, it's your story, everything is about you?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because I did kind of have to get over that guilt, and I did that. And, I give so much back to the Golden Bachelor, that experience, because I learned so much that made my Golden Bachelor experience so successful. And I learned from the other women when they were talking about, somebody's son had just had an appendectomy and she left him in the hospital. And, people were dealing with all kinds of things at home. And as we were talking about this, I was saying to each one of them, oh my God, you deserve to be here. They'll be fine at home. Yet I wasn't embracing that thought for myself. So it did take me a little time to give myself the free pass, that I am just like them. I deserve to be here also. My kids will be fine. If they're not, I'll leave. I felt that about the Golden Bachelor when I was on that. And so by the time I made it to Golden Bachelorette, I think my kids and I had all kind of come to terms with the way that this works. And we were all a lot more comfortable with it. And at that point, I did feel like I deserved it. I talked myself into that concept, and I was really embracing it.
Did you have any expectations going into it?
I knew what I wanted in the end. One person at the end, that we were going to go out into the real world and see if we can make it work.
How did it feel having your friends within the franchise kind of rally around and support you? Because I'm sure you made some great friendships on Golden Bachelor.
Yeah, I mean, we are all such good friends still. We have a group chat that we that if you don't look at your phone 5 times a day, you become 30 messages behind. So we are really support each other. Like I said, when we moved into the mansion, I felt like I found my tribe here. These are the people that understand what it's like to be in your 60s and 70s and single, and being the ninth person at the table at the wedding, and watching all your friend couples go on vacations together and you be left behind. It's all these things that people don't realize, are sad for you, make you sad, and make being single even harder. Or you go out to dinner with all your friends who have husbands at home, and you go home to the empty house. So I was with all these women who understood that. And so we became very close, because we were a great support group for each other. So their support meant everything to me, because I was kind of, represent all of us to the world. This is what it's like to be this age and dating. And it's not comfortable. It's hard.
What you wanted in a partner going into Gary's season, did that change at all going into your season?
Maybe a little bit. I've made it very clear that I'm not going to leave my family, and that they are the most important thing to me. And I think I knew then that I wanted a man that felt the same way about his family. And that's kind of a deal breaker. If you're not as close to your family and value, their need for you, and you wanting to be with them as I do with my family, then you're probably not a good match for me. So coming out and figuring out how to live in the real world with that expectation is harder.
Yeah. Was there any worry there of there's goods and bads to that, right? Of finding someone that is so close to their family, just like you are. But then if you're not from the same place, then there's that where are you going to live question. Was that something you thought about going into this? Because part of the show is dating people across the country.
Yeah. So that absolutely was something that I thought about. And, I kind of felt about it. I kind of figured out in my mind how it would work for me. And I just needed to find somebody that had the same thoughts, that, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have your family and, possibly they have their family and then also be together all the time, and that you're going to have to make a sacrifice on something. But I think it can work. You just have to maybe work harder at that part of the relationship.
Makes sense.
Support for this podcast quest for power.
Range. So what
A comparison of Star
the manufacturer's
Store. All the store.
Yeah. So
night. Can you tell us?
Don't just pay, PayPal.
Terms apply. See PayPal app. This card is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Inc.
With your premiere airing later tonight, can you tell us how you are feeling going into night one?
So you mean night one, like when the limos arrived?
Limos are coming up, and you're standing out
Fully
there.
in. Yeah. So I will remember probably that moment for the rest of my life because it's like one of those iconic moments that starts every season. And I remember so many other Bachelor and Bachelorettes standing there and looking nervous and watching that first limo pull up. And it is like so exciting and so terrifying at the same time because you thought like, this moment could possibly change my life. And I was so excited. And I felt like the weight of all this suddenly, like right in that moment, everything was fun and games until then. And I was like, okay, this is it. I could hardly breathe, honestly.
Can you tell us about your dress?
Who
Who were you wearing?
Who are you wearing?
I was wearing Randy Rom. And she's a popular designer on the show. And I think I was wearing the most beautiful dress I've ever put on in my life. I felt so happy in it. I felt like it was made for me. And yeah, you'll see it soon.
Do you think if you didn't if you didn't feel comfortable in your dress, do you think that would have messed you up night one?
Sorry, I'm only laughing because
We are now off script, people.
because if Joe doesn't like what he's wearing, it like impacts everything. Like the whole night is ruined. Like we usually go home early.
Like I'm just saying,
It's a really big deal.
If I was the lead, and
That's why he's asking this question because he's putting himself in your shoes.
I'm out of here.
well, I'm just saying, like
right.
if I was the lead and whatever the suit I wore night one, I felt uncomfortable and I didn't like it. It would really be something that was on my mind for
Way heavy on you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like not in general, but in that moment, if I didn't like the dress, I probably wouldn't have felt as happy as I was.
Yeah, you have to feel
But
confident and beautiful in what you're wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do really. I mean, confidence is really important in that moment because like I felt like it was my responsibility to make the men feel comfortable because I remember being in that limousine and like stepping out and I was freaking terrified.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know why did I do this to my life? Why did I say yes to this? I could hardly breathe. So I really needed to feel confident and like exude like calmness to them. So my dress was important, Joe. You're right.
I know.
Did you go into filming with any like non-negotiables? Like if a guy says this or does this, it's not going to work out.
Not really. Like I do have red flags, but you certainly don't see that. Like first night, it's all about like kind of everybody needs to get a free pass on the first night because everybody's really nervous.
Yeah.
So certainly not the first night. I mean, there were things that stood out and why I didn't give people roses in the long run, but no, like I didn't have something in my mind that said this is a no go for me because people have already been vetted. So like really glaring bad things about people, they're not on the show. So everybody that you're encountering at this point are really good guys.
Any unexpected challenges? I mean, you could tease. You can
Yeah, what
obviously
can you tease for your season overall? And then I think we have a game to play with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Unexpected challenges. I'll tell you, the emotional journey was way different than what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was in like people kept saying, "Are you 100% ready to do this?" And I kept saying yes. And then I got there and I discovered I wasn't anywhere near 100% ready. I had to go through kind of a huge emotional journey that I didn't even know was going to happen.
I feel like that happens with every lead because we've now had a lot of leads on right after they've been announced and then after they've filmed. And usually they come on being like, I'm not nervous. I'm just excited. I feel great. And then they come back and they're like, that was a lot.
That was so hard. Okay, I'm so glad that you're saying that because I think, maybe that was only me and I just wasn't ready and I was naive. It was so much harder than I ever thought it was going to be and so much more fulfilling than I ever thought it was going to be.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's sweet. Love that. And I can't wait to see your dress. Okay. Joan, you want to play?
Joe, I really appreciate you saying that and not Serena.
Well, I've seen it. It's in the promos. I'll show it to you. It's beautiful. It's gold.
Joan, we're going to play a quick game.
Surprise, it's gold.
Rapid fire, get to know Joan. First thing that comes to your head. You ready?
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. What's your love language?
Oh, gifts.
Gold or silver jewelry?
Gold.
Favorite way to unwind?
Beach.
What is your go-to comfort food?
Pizza.
You might be the
No,
only
not
person
that.
that's ever played this
No.
game that has actually played rapid fire, so thank you. What is your pump-up song?
That's a hard one. Oh gosh, probably. Oh,
That is such
see,
a
you-
no.
jinxed- I
No, that
jinxed
one's
you.
hard.
I
That one's
jinxed you.
hard.
I
That one's
jinxed you.
hard.
It's probably a Taylor Swift song, but I don't know which one.
Okay. All-time favorite movie?
Well, I was in St. Elmo's Fire, so obviously
Were
Were
you?
you really?
I was an extra.
Okay, that's with Rob Lowe.
Rob Lowe.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna watch now and look for you. I'm excited. Cooking or ordering takeout?
Sure, that's a hard one. So I'm just gonna. Can I not do rapid fire in this one?
Go
Because
for
it's
it.
like. So I love cooking like with a guy. I think it's fun. You learn so much about him. It's a great date thing to do. But in the long run, I'd rather order out because I don't feel like cleaning up the kitchen.
Favorite vacation destination?
Hawaii.
A fun fact about you, Bachelor Nation should know.
Okay, I'm going to tell you my stupid party trick. You ready?
Yeah.
I can tie the stem of a cherry with my tongue.
Oh, that's a
Nice.
fun one.
Go to cocktail at a bar.
French 75.
And if you could sum up your season of The Golden Bachelorette in one word, what would it be?
Oh, geez. I think it was emotional.
Emotional. Okay.
Yeah.
Joan, it's been a blast. I'm sure this won't be the last time we're going to have you on here. I can't wait to watch your season.
I hope not. I hope I'm back.
Yeah.
This was so much fun. Thank you for having
Of
me.
course. Thanks
course.
for coming on.
And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in to Bachelor Happy Hour. We so appreciate you guys tuning in every week, and we'll have new episodes and new interviews every week.
Yep. We hope you guys are as excited for the Golden Bachelorette Joan season as we are. And we will have recaps and interviews coming your way. So don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.